Hi, this is Tim and Doyle. Welcome to Midwest Hunting and Outdoors by Two Dumbasses,
a podcast about the outdoors, hunting,
and being a steward of the land. Welcome to Midwest Hunting and Outdoors by Two Dumbasses. Tim, what's on the docket today?
Well, we're going to be doing a soil test. So it's going to probably be my first soil test that we've done. You and I have talked about it several times. So, and you've kind of been reminding me, hey, that we need to get on this as part of our March Madness that we just did. So, I bought a couple samples.
And where'd you get them from?
So we got them from Whitetail Institute. We had another supplier that we were going to buy, and it did not pan out. Let's just be nice that way. Could go into a customer spotlight, but we're not gonna. So I decided to order from this Whitetail Institute, and what I'd heard is that they have really good reports, easy to understand. So here we are.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's get into it. What's the first steps in this bad boy?
Well, so I thought what we'd do is just do a quick unboxing.
Okay.
Not a lot to it. So first off, you can get these from anywhere, right? So you can buy them directly from Whitetail Institute. They offer the same kit. I think it's like $14 roughly. And you can also buy an online version, which is $12. And the only problem with the online version is it's only set up for non-Apple phones. They don't have an iOS app for it yet, so I passed on that since I'm an Apple user. And I also bought it from Amazon. So I spent $1 extra on Amazon just because I know what their return policy is, and if I had any issues, I knew no questions. So looking into this a little bit, let's see what they've got. So the first thing that comes out is they have a submittal form. So on this submittal form, it's got the lab control number right at the top. So you have to send this. You can't make copies of it. One lab control number per sample.
It's unique.
Okay.
Well, that's smart, actually.
Yep. On the right side of this, it's basically got the species that you're going to plant. So super important you put what species you're going to have. Now, here's one thing about the Whitetail Institute. Pretty smart on their part. They have all the species based upon their seed mixes. So if you don't fit into one of those seed mixes that you plan on planting, they have another thing at the bottom that has other. And
I mean, they are a seed company, right? So they're trying to influence and market their products. Can't blame them.
Yep. So I'll be using the other because I have a couple of products that aren't going to be on this list, and that's also smart for them because then they figure out, hey, what is other people planting, and hey, maybe we need to create a seed mix for that. They've got a little soil sample procedure for you to do it, and then basically the next thing they provide is a sample bag. So important thing is it's got all the same information that you're going to put on here for your submittal form. It's just making sure that they tie, and then it's also got a line so that they really only want like a cup of soil, right? So not very much. They give you a address to mail it to, so really good. And then lastly, they provide you just like a mini checklist to go through before you send it off to make sure, boy, this is going to work perfect.
Where is this getting sent to, Tim? What's the address?
Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they also have one little nice thing here on the end is once you get your sample, and they also guarantee that you'll get your sample within 24 hours of receipt. They'll email it to you, which is really great. I mean, I think that's pretty great. But if you have any questions, they have a 1-800 toll number so that you can call and ask questions on your soil sample.
Sounds pretty simple.
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Not that I can't mess it up, but
we are the dumbasses.
It's right. We are the dumbasses, but we're right there. So yeah. So want to go collect some soil and send
Yep.
this in, or what?
Yep. So a couple things just to add to that is hey, what's the area you're going to sample, right? So we have a sample. We have an area we're going to go sample today. What you're going to plant for that area. So you need to know what you're going to plant so you can put that on here so that they can kind of correlate what your needs are. And then what you need to take is a plastic bucket, and they want to make sure that it's a plastic bucket so you're not getting any metals, ambient metal contamination from metal bucket. Now here's kind of in their instructions, they ask you to use a spade or a drill, etc., which are all metal components, which would leave metal contamination. So we're not going to do that. We're going to use a piece of PVC, and they ask you to go down anywhere from 1 to 6 inches. We're going to target about 1 inch because that's what I think most of our stuff's going to be. And we're going to just go around and pick randomly 20 spots, push down this PVC, get a chunk, knock it into the bucket, and then we'll stir it all up and build up our sample.
Should be pretty easy, quick, and then totally avoid that metal contamination piece.
100%.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
So they want 10 to 20 samples, and like I said, we'll make that all. We'll pull it all together to make sure it's all mixed up, and then we'll have a sample.
Cool. And you said the sample that they need, that they want to send in, is about a cup equivalent of dirt.
Yep. And then one of the things we're going to do is we have another side agenda that we're going to do with another testing process. So we'll keep, once we get the results of this, we'll keep that, and I'll keep a soil sample so that we can do another test.
Yeah, so we've got plans to compare an online, in this case Whitetail Institute testing, to a do-it-yourself kit and see what the pros and cons to it are. So we're gonna double bag the sample. So we'll use that same soil, just a split sample on the do-it-yourself kit, and we'll get that attached out on the channel sometime after this goes out.
Yep.
Yeah, great idea. Anything else, buddy?
Nope, that's it. Let's go get some dirt.
Yeah, it's a good, nice warm day in the 50s, so, and it's not raining yet, so let's go do that.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go out and get a sample. I've got a 1.5 inch PVC here that I'm going to use, and this is our sunflower field for our dove plot. We've planted sunflowers up here. Gosh, this is our 3rd year, and I've not done a soil sample, so we're going to plant sunflowers again here this year. So let's get a feel for what I got to do to make sure we have a great crop.
Tim, welcome back. Where we left our audience was we had just gone out and collected some samples, and we had some fun with the drone, taking some video while we're collecting some samples. But let's take it from there. What'd you do with those samples?
Well, what we did is we took, I think it was about 10, 12 different samples, put it into a bucket, and then the pouch that we showed earlier required like a cup of soil, no more, right up to a line. So I sent it in a first class envelope with the form and sent it off to Whitetail Institute. Now, they said they'd turn it around in like 24 to 48 hours after they received it. And anyway, it was about a week before, it was a week that went by and I hadn't received any results. So I gave them a call. And it was super duper helpful. They took my name, went right into my results, and the gentleman that helped me, his name was Tyler. Tyler stated, he goes, "Hey, you just forgot to put on a return email address." And he goes, "We would have sent it to you. We already sent you a paper." He goes, "To your home address." He goes, "That's why it's taken so long." And I said, wow, thank you very much. You know,
User
yeah,
errors.
it usually is.
Yeah,
usually
it
is. Kind of
usually
goes
is.
with our podcast.
It is that way with me. We are the dumbasses, right?
So anyway, they sent me back the sample, but he also emailed me right off the bat, and so which I sent off to you, and here we are.
Awesome. Should we get into the results?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. And we'll include, from a podcasting standpoint, we'll include what Tim's going to reference here. We've got a digital electronic copy that we'll include in the podcast here and talk through it. So take it from there.
So they sent me 2 pages. And on the front page, obviously, it's got my name, the Whitetail Institute. It's got the report number. But then what they do is they come right in here, and there's a kind of a graphical display telling you the results of your test. So what it's telling me in phosphorus, that, hey, I have like a medium amount. Potassium, I'm very high. Calcium, I'm at that medium level again. And then magnesium, I'm at very high. In fact, magnesium and potassium are very similar in how they rated them. So then they also tell me the soil pH. So my soil pH is at 6.5. So then for this field, we're planting sunflowers for our dove plot. And so they put in here, what's the desired pH for sunflowers? And the desired pH for sunflowers is 6.5.
Wow. So bingo.
Bingo. So they also tell you about your organic matter. And so they said very good soils, usually productive soils, somewhere between 4 and 6% organic matter. And we are sitting at 7.9%. So the other thing that this report tells you is your CEC. You ever heard of CEC?
Nope.
I've never heard
CEC.
of CEC. So
I was trying to think of something witty, and I couldn't even think of something witty for CEC.
Yeah, neither could I. So CEC stands for Cation Exchange Capacity. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Doesn't sound like soil.
No. So going into further definition, it says it's the total capacity of a soil to hold and exchange cations.
Okay. Getting me closer. Now it's cations.
So digging further, it's influences that ratio. It influences the soil's ability to hold on to essential nutrients and provide a buffer against soil acidification. Now that makes sense to me. So that you want to have a good CEC number, right? Because you don't want it to be acidic, most likely.
Yes. Yep.
Depending on what you're planting.
Definitely with sunflowers, we don't, right?
Right. So before I get to the number, let's go right to the number. The number they gave us for this soil sample was 13.1%. So a good number for CEC for your soil is somewhere between 12 and 25. So we're on the low side, right? So the thing that pops to my head then is, hey, how do you improve it, right?
Yeah.
And there's very few ways to improve your CEC in your soil. But one of the main ways you can is increasing organic matter is one of the few ways you can to improve your CEC. And going back to our report, we're at 7.9% organic matter, which is considerably higher than normal.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that we are incorporating, whether it be old sunflower stalks, whether it be from the hay that we put out there this year, etc., that's all contributing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you can kind of look at, when we're tilling it up, for sure. I mean, we were tilling up a lot of matter going back into that, and it's only going to decay, right? So, yeah, good. All right, well, to me, the CEC, that tells me, because it's on the lower side, in range, but on the lower side, we'll want to keep an eye on that, because if I understand that correctly, it tells me that, our acidity might not be as stable as we think it is.
Yeah, we might have to add lime at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So then they provide you a table. So it says fertilizer to apply for bulk application. So what they're saying, for 1 acre, they're asking you need 100 pounds of nitrogen and 60 pounds of phosphate per acre to get it up to target for sunflowers.
Based on what it's at now.
Yep. And then they said, hey, they've got some other things. If less than 1 acre, they break it down into like 1,000 square feet. So like if you had a very small area, you could figure it out. So that's pretty slick. They also have a help number. So if you've got questions on this, you can call them and ask them questions. And then the next thing, this is their table 2 on the second page is the section 2 or table 2 is it tells you what types of fertilizers to apply. So
that's awesome.
So they said, hey, fertilizers in our area would be like a 3400 or a 0460 in order to meet the requirements. And then they tell you exactly how many pounds of that fertilizer to dump on your ground.
So that's what I was thinking when you gave me when you were talking about the nitrogen and the phosphate. That tells you need that many pounds, but that doesn't necessarily equate to fertilizer. But then they take it a step further and say, oh, here's the fertilizer.
Yeah, that's a big deal for me.
So like what did they say about the fertilizer? How much?
So 300 pounds of the 294 pounds of the 3400 and 130 pounds of 0460. So you'd either go assuming 50-pound bags, I'd probably either go 2 or 3 bags. You can be slightly under or slightly over. And then, again, assuming 50-pound bags, you'd probably go 6 bags of the 3400.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. You couldn't ask for much more than that. You can't ask for anything more than that.
That's what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
And then lastly, it's got table 3. It's got lime to apply. And we don't need to apply any lime. We're at target. So, again, they break it down into either square feet or acreage. And we're in good shape.
No lime.
No lime.
Excellent.
And so we've already applied our fertilizer. And we should be in really good shape.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, Tim, so you first time doing this, right?
First time.
And I have never done it. If you had to grade this or experience kind of deal, what kind of experience did you have?
I think it's an A. I think I'd give it an A. I'll certainly use them again, right? It's pretty painless. They send it to you. I think probably the biggest pain that they could provide you is when you're buying it like a envelope to send your package into, which I had to hunt one up. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple.
$15, I think.
Yeah, it cost me $15. I sent it first class. I suppose you could send it for second class and cut your price, but it's what I had on hand.
Could put your return address on it and get it quicker too. But
email, yep.
What'd Tommy Boy say? I could stick my head up a bull's ass. But anyway, let's not go there. All right, what else, man?
That's it. I mean, so we've done it for that field. I'm going to do it for one more field this year. I've already bought a sample, and I'm running a lot of tests up in this other field that I'm not ready to share out just yet.
Well, and I suspect you're probably going to have to phone them directly because of these crops that you're planning on putting in there and probably aren't on the list, right?
No, they have another, so you can write it right in the other, and then they'll find it.
Okay.
I suppose they use that other so that they find out what all these people are planting, so that then they can incorporate it into their Whitetail Institute seed offerings.
There's a lot of people planting marigolds. I think we need to supply a marigold skew, right? In whitetails. So good. Well, I mean, I don't use Whitetail Institute very much. I have. My neighbor does exclusively. Obviously you hear about them a lot. But certainly this provides some professionalism to their sampling soil anyway.
And in a layman's terms, like for someone like us, right?
Easy peasy. Yeah, if we can figure it out, then anybody can.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it.
Two dumbass approved.
Yep. And awesome. We're not sponsored by these guys, obviously.
Not at all. So, anything else before we close?
Nope. I think that does it, Jake.
Well, folks, thanks for watching. Until next time, be safe, have fun, and get outdoors. Thanks for listening or watching our show. We have some exciting topics and guests coming up.
We ask that you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
We look forward to hearing your suggestions for topics,
Questions and comments. This is Two Dumbasses signing off. Until next time,
be safe,
have fun, and get outdoors.